What's up, everyone? Today we are going to be looking at the newest Destiny summon, which is Warek. Warek is a Mauler unit that is new to the game. You cannot get him except through Destiny summons as of right now. Generally how it works, or the pattern that we've seen, is the units that come in here for the Destiny summons are here for a few weeks, and then they become available in normal summoning a little bit afterwards. And so if you don't get him here, don't worry, you will probably be able to get him later. And so I'm going to talk about whether I think it's really worth pulling for him today, or if you should save your summons for a different unit, as well as kind of dig a little bit into what Warek does and how he could possibly fit into AFK companions in the current state. So just to be direct and upfront, I don't really think Warek is worth pulling for at this point in the game. In the normal game, he's really just a unit that isn't, viable in very many areas at all and hasn't been for a long time. In companions, he's probably a little more valuable just because of his ability called Bone Breaker. Not Breakbone, Bone Breaker. And this is basically a move where he will throw the weakest enemy backwards, and that enemy will be stunned and damaged. And that's probably the most useful thing he does. He does do a little bit of other, normal unit things, like multi-strike that knocks back targets in front of him with each hit, does damage. Warek is immune to control for the duration of the ultimate. When he suffers control effect, he becomes immune to controls for 2 seconds. And then his attack rating increases for each enemy that he deals damage to, and it can be stacked. Now, Warek isn't necessarily a bad unit, but he's not really great either. There are other units in the game that are just better than him, especially in the Mauler faction. I wouldn't say it's worth investing in him at this point. One thing with Bone Breaker that can be, not great is that you throw a unit backwards, and then that unit has full access to your backline. So depending on whatever unit he throws, that could be a detriment to your team. And so that's something in Arena, for example, where you get one attack chance. You don't want to mess it up by him doing that to the wrong unit, and then that unit just kills your backline. Because some units do want to get to your backline so they can kind of start, getting their abilities off and killing people. And so that's one thing that with him is just an unknown. You never know how it's going to work. It could work really well. It could work really bad. And so that's one reason why I don't really think he's a unit that you really want to go after. Another reason is he's just not super tanky. For being a frontline character, he is a warrior. He is a strength-based hero. But he just doesn't really tank very much. Now, if you fully build him out, he will be a little tankier, but at that point, you've got to consider the cost benefit of other units that you could have built out within the Mauler faction. So I think at this point, Warek just really isn't worth putting anything into. Now, if you just want to get one copy of him, it might be worth pulling until you get the one copy and then being fine with that. Now, I think it'd probably be better just to wait until he's in the normal summon pool, and you can wait till you happen to get him then. There's no urgency necessarily. But I just don't see a lot of areas where he would be super beneficial in AFK companions. But like I said, if you really want to build him out for whatever reason, if you're just whaling and you have a lot of money to do so, go for it. He is a fun champion to kind of mess around with in campaign and the towers and stuff. And I think he could be beneficial in some situations in the Mauler tower and campaign. But overall, I just don't think he's really worth pulling for at this point. Now, one final thing you want to take a look at is his signature item. And so you can see all the different levels of it. If you are going to be building him somewhat, I would say get him to level 20 for the signature item is probably where you want to go. I wouldn't go to 30. It just really isn't worth it. Now, if you are full on building him out, obviously might as well just go to 30 at this point. But with resources being as thin as they are, I just don't think he's the unit that you really want to be putting those resources into. And so, unfortunately, with this Destiny summon, it's kind of lame, but it also gives you some time to kind of stack up on these scrolls, because I think the plan is moving forward, and what you want to do is basically wait for a unit that is really desirable that comes up and have a lot of these summons available. And so I think that's going to be the strategy moving forward and has been so far. And I think this is one where you're just going to want to skip it and kind of stock up on those scrolls and then really go ham on the next one that is pretty good. So hopefully that was helpful in making your decision on whether or not you want to summon for Warek. If you have any questions or comments or you have a different opinion, feel free to share that below. But hope that was helpful and have a great rest of your day. Peace.